Good morning, this is Sharon from Everything Beautiful. Today, I'd like to show you how to cut freehand. You can draft a pattern if you want to, but you can also do it on the fabric if you so desire. And so I'll be showing you two versions of this just to make it a little bit easier for the beginner. So as you know, I always prepare and just take you through the steps. So here's the center front of the blouse. Cut it on the fold. So there it is. That is the center front. Here at the top would be the shoulder line and also the neckline. Didn't have to do this, but for the beginners, I think it was a wise idea to do it because this can be a little bit daunting, you know. And some people learn easily with theory and some practical. So here we have our neckline, and it is 2.5, that's 2.5 inches neckline. This is a small blouse that I'm doing, and I have the shoulder line, which is 7 inches. From the neckline here, I came down 5 inches, and I'm going to cut this without allowance. So you will add your allowance when you are doing your garment, whether on paper or on fabric. So this is the line we'll be working with, and this line is actually across the chest, and it is 5 inches from the neckline here. Now from this line, we are going to measure down to the length of our blouse, and that would be 10 inches because I have left 5 at the top that we won't be using. Okay, so this is it. So after you measure down, so we have two lines working with now, this line that is across the chest and this line which is the waistline. You will now find your nipple to nipple measurement. It's bust to bust. It's really called the apex, and the whatever you get from one nipple to the other nipple, you will divide that into, and I'm using 8 inches for nipple to nipple, so I divide that into, and so from here to here I mark 4 inches. Also on the top line here, from here to here I mark 4 inches, and then I drew my center line. Okay, and that is the dark line. On the top here from the center line, I measure 3.25 inch from the center line to this side, and on the other side 3/4 inch. On the waistline, I use 1/2 inch on both sides, which that is what we use most of the times. So from the center line 1/2 inch, from the center line 1/2 inch. What I did next was find the center, the middle point of the center line, that is that long line that you see here, and it's actually 10 inches because remember 5 is at the top where we are not using. So there it is, it's actually 10 inches, and the midpoint here is 5. Now, why you have to find the midpoint is because when you're now connecting this dart, you need to know where the midpoint is, connecting this one, and also the top one here. You want to know where the midpoint is. So that is the reason for that. From the center line here to the chest, not the center line, I mean the across chest, which this is what is used for the bust, also the bust line. So we'll measure off from here to here, okay, whatever. So if your bust is 30, 34, say you'll find the quarter. Say for instance we are using 30, so half of the 30, a quarter of the 30 would be 7.5. So from the center line here right across, you would mark that. All right. On the same thing on the waistline, you would find the quarter of the waist measurement, and you would also mark that. When you're doing this, remember that you're going to also add in 1 inch for the dart here, and on the bust line here, after you mark off the bust measurement, you're going to add 1.5, because 3/4 and 3/4 gives you 1.5, and half here give you 1. So you would add 1 inch to the waist measurement here and 1.5 there, and remember your seam allowance. So from the center here, if you notice I came down a little, you don't have to do that. You can give it a slight curve, but I wanted to have a little like sweetheart or V shape there. So I went down from this line, which is the bust line, 2 inches. This line, this measurement now, which is the bust measurement, remember we are using 30. What you do from here, you would come down 2 inches, 2 inches here. From the same bust measurement, you would come in about 2.5 to 3 inches, and this would be for the arm. So when you cut here. Okay, so remember, please add your allowance. This dart here, you can cut through it as you see they always do, and you have a princess line look. Okay, now I'm not going to cut through this. I'm going to show you how you can baste it and still get the look. So if for those who are not ready as yet to cut through the dart and to rejoin it, more so if you are working on fabric, you don't need to cut through it, because if you cut through this, you're going to have to cut at allowance. All right, you can do it, but I'll still show you how to form the dart without cutting through it. So that is your basic of the shoulder pattern. As I said, here you come down 2 inches. So remember this one down, okay, from the bust line is 2.5 inches. I think I used 2.5. From here, it's 2.5 to 3. You curve it there, and that is how you get the armhole. I will quickly do a little pattern, so I'll show you what it should be looking like. So this is what you're trying to achieve. So this slant here would be the armhole. So that is what you want, okay? So when I say you don't have to cut it, this is what I mean. You can baste it right through. And when you reach the top here, if it's too bulky, you can just trim it and zigzag it. And if you want to do the same at the bottom here, you can do it. So this is how the dart is shaped. So where I base, you will stitch. If you want to cut it in the line, what you do after you add your allowance, you add another 1 inch. Remember, the fabric should be on the fold, so 1 inch would be for the right and 1 inch would be for the left. So you add another 1 inch if you are working freehand on fabric. And so when you take in that 1/2 inch to stitch it back, that is if you cut it, the garment will not be short in width in measurement. So this is where the bust line would be, okay? So if you notice there it is, we have the effect of the bust line.